Hey everyone, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. Today I've got a warning from 2007. That year is very important because it was a massive turning point when people still thought, a majority of people in America thought that things were good. They actually weren't. They had turned in mid 2005, and the largest wealth effect in humans was about to be flip flopped and switched. And people that were speculating in the housing market were about to get completely crushed. I want to talk about that. It's a story out of Bazinga, but then I also afterwards want to share with you a comment that I received about investing in liens and deeds. And I think it's very important that people understand where I'm coming from and a plan that I have for you, because my goal ever since I started this channel was to show you how an economic cycle builds up and comes crashing down. And then people need to realize this, it restarts again. I know it sounds funny, but most people do not understand this. I just read a book from the 1800s, and part of the book was about a group of people called the forgetters, a type of human being that just could not grasp that something repeated itself or that they were headed into trouble. All right. So let me start with the video here. Recent recent analysts suggest today that the US housing market holds similarities to 2007's pre-crash conditions, but key divergence reveal it's not just history repeating itself. Housing prices have surged in major cities due to tight inventory, land scarcity, and rising construction costs, but not risky lending practices. So first, I have to say that's actually not true. You're going to find out that, and actually, Fannie Mae has already, the truth came out. I did a video. We just sent this off to the editor, actually, yet another prediction that I made, and now it's come true. I said at the beginning of the year, Fannie and Freddie, you're going to find out all of the bad stuff that's going on in the mortgage industry by the end of this year. And how I knew that was because of all of the commercial loans that they had made that were crumbling. And it was going to end up, eventually, they were going to have to pay the piper and write down some of these loans, and that it would show up in their quarterly numbers. Okay, that has just happened. And Fannie Mae is using the word fraud, just so you know. Okay, they are using the word fraud. So, risky lending practices, a lot of people think about ninja loans, but this is all a ninja loan was. You were giving money to someone that couldn't afford the payment. Well, whether that be a negative amortization schedule or negam, as a lot of people called ninja loans, or simply telling someone, hey, you could buy this $500,000 house and you don't need the standard 3%. Let's let you get in for 1%. And then, oh, you know what? Let's even give you the 1% through a program, a taxpayer funded program. So that is 100% false. We have risky loans happening in America right now. Type one if you agree with that. All right. So here's the thing. That's bunked right now in this story. It says here, in states like Idaho, single-family home prices have jumped 19%, fueled by pandemic-era relocations and increased demand. Well, let me stop right there and tell you something. I have a buddy that's in Idaho, and he called me about a year and a half ago, and he goes, I wish I would have listened to you. Because one day I said, hey, how you doing, bud? And he goes, well, I'm going to sell my house. I'm fixing it up. And I'm like, when are you going to sell it? And he said, oh, in July or August, something like that. I said, you need to sell it right now. You have no time, because I knew how much he was trying to sell it for. And it was in the 6s or 7s for that area. And it was an incredible home, beautiful home, right? I mean, we're talking, it's got, a couple acres. It was beautiful. Anyway, he goes, no, I don't have it just yet. Just right. I'm like, you're in a mania right now. And homes are liquid because the inventory levels and the amount of buyers. You've got to sell right now. Like I'm calling the top of the market right now. It is going to go nowhere but negative from here. And he didn't listen to me. A year later, he calls me and he goes, I wish I would have listened to you. I priced it at 7, and he priced it in the mid tier of that size homes, right in the middle, right? Not the highest, not the lowest. Then he dropped the price. He finally dropped the price enough to where, I mean, we're talking, if I have to remember right, he was at 6 and he had to give up. He goes, I've got to give up. I have to do another plan. I'm either going to keep it or I'm going to rent it out. But the point being is that he was watching all of the headlines and following the hype, and he didn't understand the velocity of transactions and how much volume was pushing in or pulling out of a market. And that's what's happening right now. The truth is, I just heard, I get from hopefully a business associate of mine here pretty soon. Got a phone call. He goes, "Hey, I just heard that so and so just picked up $100 million Class A property at like a 25% discount." And I go, "Yeah, that's what do you think B's and C's are going to do? They're gonna crash epically, right?" And he agrees. He's a very smart individual. And then I find myself, you know, my wife wants this one specific house, and I said, we were skiing one day, and she goes, "I'd really like one of those houses," and they were priced at X, and I said, "You know what? I bet you we can get that for a 28 to 30% discount by December." And here we found ourselves in second position just last week on one of them for exactly 28% discount. We didn't get it. The first position got the property, and that was all right. That was cool by me. They just got to it before I did. And I was even going to buy it knowing that it was going to crash more. I've done tons of stories on why I did that in 2005, because that property was going to do a specific, take care of a specific thing for my life that would make me more money. I talk about that in a handful of courses, why you need to have 5 different ways that you plan on making money from a property, right? So this thing like Idaho, it doesn't matter that the price went up 19%. That was the peak. Now it's coming down because people are having to drop prices everywhere. And the truth is, around the country, new home sellers, they can't sell homes for 500, 600 grand anymore. So it's no longer the $1 million or multi-million dollar markets. The $500,000 and $600,000 homes, you know that everything's crashing when a seller has to give you money towards paying down the rate because you can't afford the payment. And then they have to give you free incentives like, "Hey, we'll upgrade your flooring. We'll give you a different type of tile in the bathroom. Please, please, please just buy from us." And then lastly, you see their earnings on their earnings calls on Wall Street. Lennar, DR Horton, all these companies are hurting, right? The whole sector is hurting. So to sit there and read a story like this and go, "Oh, it's like 2007." I'm like, are you kidding me? It's so much worse. It's crazy because of the sheer volume. See, here's something else you don't realize. Most people don't realize this. There are more homes in America today, a significant amount of homes and multifamily, than in 2008. The only reason the word housing crisis, housing shortage ever comes out is when loan rates drop to nothing. It becomes cheaper or at least the same cost to buy a home than it is renting. And a lot of foolish people, I'm about to get to that comment in a second, rush in and buy things they can't afford, right? Now, the banks know that ultimately they are going to be able to get all of their money back. They are malicious lenders. Can I say that? Is because they force you to buy an insurance policy while you're buying the home, not to protect you, but to protect them. Most people don't understand how that works. And quite frankly, it's sad, but at the same time, that's why wealthy people are wealthy and poor people are poor, because of a difference in education levels. How many of you agree with that? Type 2 if you agree with that. You're like, yes, that's all it comes down to, which means every single one of you can choose to be wealthy or be poor, because you have the choice to go out and buy a bunch of books, go down to the library and rent them for free, go and attend seminars, go and purchase online courses, go to coaching classes and be coached by people that are more successful than you, or you could sit back and watch Jerry Springer. That's the whole thing. I have yet to meet one single person that is poor because the world just decided. It was every single person I've ever said that's whined to me that they're poor, and it is whining, okay? Because I've had nothing before. I almost lost my house before. I never went and asked my mom and dad for a loan. I never asked my friends for a loan. I actually kept my mouth completely shut and I focused. And I have yet to find someone that's whining about their thing and they're sitting around with like a $10 coffee in their hand. Like me right now. Good news, I can afford it. And you know what? I guarantee you right now, there's some people that are offended and they're pissed off. And if you want to hit the unsubscribe, then go ahead, because in about 4 minutes, I'm going to inject some serious truth into this situation. So stand by for that one. And I'm not joking. I just got to finish this part of the story. It's not clickbait. So it says here, come on, you stupid ads. Interest rates, too, present a major shift. While 2007 crisis was partly triggered by historically low rates, encouraging risky borrowing, today's rates have reached multi-decade highs, averaging around 7%. That is a straight up, absolute moronic lie. I'm not calling anybody a moron. This is a lie. This is a lie. In 2006 and 7, rates were at 7%. I don't even know how to tell you this, but they were actually higher than that. The author, oh my gosh. And what's sad is that this is mainstream, right? So people read this, they go, oh yeah, rates are higher today than they have been way before 2007. No, that's not true. Okay? Let me ask you this. How many people is there any mortgage lenders in here that were around before the Great Recession? Just put up I'm a mortgage lender and tell them the truth. Rates were at the same rate as they were a little bit higher in 2006 to 2007. That range right there. Maybe even 2005 it hit that rate. I don't have a chart in front of me. Unlike 2007, it says, when rates eventually led to a domino effect of defaults and price declines, today's price reductions are minimal. That's absolutely not true. I am going around everywhere. If you are watching the market, you are seeing price declines, significant price declines everywhere. As a matter of fact, let me tell you this. We're all in different places in life, right? And that's totally fine, because you can get to anywhere you want in life if you believe in yourself and you try hard. That's just the truth. Sorry, I just hate to tell you. It's not about your education level today. It's about your education level tomorrow as you learn more and more. And so I'm watching homes being listed in my area right now. Let's say $1 million, 1.2. In the listing, it says, before it's even on the market, just day one, it says, hey, seller is going to provide $15,000 for a rate buy down for you, because the real estate agent that's selling that property for them knows, hey, everyone's broke. No one can afford this, but there are a lot of middle class people that want McMansions and want to look rich. So throw them a bone. See, that's the thing. Your only buyer. Think about this market. Your only buyer is someone that can't afford your house. Score, right? All right. So let's get to this little bit of truth bomb right here. I got a comment from somebody, because I'm teaching people now, because there's these different phases of real estate investing, and there are a lot of people that have very little money. And I came up, I'm like, hey, as a subscriber actually woke me up and said, hey, Ninja, you've got to show people how to do these liens and deeds. I started with $256. I ended up crushing it. Now I'm making hundreds of $1,000s a year. This is a real true story. And I'm like, yeah, I've been studying that for decades. I just haven't fully dove in, because the times I looked into them, the markets were light. Well, now all these foreclosures are beginning and these markets are exploding, right? So we started teaching this course on this, and it's a big course. It's going to be my biggest ever. It's probably going to take me 2 to 3 months to finish, and I probably won't stop putting. The bulk of it will be done 2 to 3 months, but I won't stop putting content on it for a year, because this market's going to move so fast, your head will spin, right? And very few people understand how this works. Well, let me go to my email real quick here and pull this up, because I got a comment from somebody that said, hey, I just can't see myself profiting off of other people's losses. So I'm like, I'm not judging you. I can't do that, right? Because there are some Bible verses about that. So I thought about it. I'm like, hey, I can't let this sit, because I think a lot of people are very confused, because I watched in 2007, 2008, people completely walk away from their homes, not because they couldn't pay for it. I actually knew firefighters that made 6 figures a year that walked away from their home payments because, and this wasn't just firefighters, it was all kinds of industries, right? I guarantee you, type 3, if you know someone that walked away from their home payment, even though they could pay for it, but since the house was worth less than what they paid for it, they abandoned their payment. And because of their principal, interest, taxes, and insurance were all into it, they turned around and they just abandoned everything, which means they didn't pay their taxes on the place, right? Like I just did a story yesterday about Justin Bieber, right? Justin Bieber is uber wealthy, right? Probably wealthier than any of us combined. And he just got hit with a $386,000 tax payment, because in California, they do a supplemental tax payment. And people always forget. It's crazy. They get warned by their escrow officers or their lenders, all this stuff. They forget, and it's like a surprise. I know people that were like, oh my gosh, I just got hit with like a $7,000 tax bill. I can't believe it. I can't believe, and they told me about it, or somebody didn't tell, whatever. And they had to go take a loan out to go pay for it or put it on a credit card. Blows me away, right? You shouldn't be buying real estate if that's the mental mode you're at. But a lot of people do, and a lot of people have lately. Well, the county sets up, all counties across the nation for like 400 years, um, have set up rules. They're like, look, we don't want you to lose your house, but we also need the money to pay firefighters, build roads, and provide police services, right? So we need our money. So if you don't pay, we're not going to keep the fine. We're going to let any American loan you the money. Just think about this. So they're going to pay your fine, your tax for you, and then you always have a set amount of time to which you can pay. 6 months, a year, or 2 years, depending on the state. You can pay that money back, but you're going to have to pay it back with interest because this person gave up the money. The county's not keeping any of it. Think about this. This is the most amazing setup ever. So somebody loaned you some money so that you could stay in your house, and we're giving you a 6 month or a 1 year, a 2 year grace period to come right. And if you're going to sit there and go, no, I ain't doing it. Or you come back and go, man, I've missed my payment, or yeah, I didn't want to make my payment, but now I don't want to lose my house. I'll pay it plus the interest, right? Whether it be 5% in some states, or in some states as high as 36%, right? So, hey, I missed a $10,000 bill. Well, I owe 13.6. That's just how it is. And the person that loaned it to me is super stoked because they're making way better rates than in their bank account. So the county and state government set this up like 400 years ago. And check this out. I don't think most of you know this. Little quick story. Do you know that when Walt Disney wanted to buy up the land for Florida for Walt Disney World, he knew that because he found so much success in Disneyland Anaheim that if anyone caught wind that he was buying up land in Florida, and he was essentially buying up marshland, like swampland, the prices would go right up. The reason why they picked Florida is because it was inexpensive. And they had some other plans, obviously. But so what he did is he set up a handful of companies and funded them. And then those companies had their own managers, and their sole job was to go out and slowly acquire this land, these marshlands that were worthless. Nobody wanted to buy them, right? But if they found out the second Disney wanted them, they'd shoot up. So they started picking these up. Well, one of the ways that Walt Disney did this was he used tax liens and TDAs to pick up these properties. There were people that owned these properties, went out and bought them, and then they said, you know what, screw it. Nobody wants to buy my property. I speculated, so I'm just going to walk away and not pay my debt, right? Pretty messed up, right? And so they were just letting it go. So Walt Disney would come through, and he would pay the tax bill, and through a shell company, so nobody could pick up on this. And then when they acquired enough land for the park and all their hotels, they made the announcement, and instantaneously overnight, every property value shot up 400%. This is a true story, right? Ford, Ford Motor Company during the Great Depression was picking up tax liens and tax deed sales. Why wouldn't you? Seriously, think about this. Why wouldn't you? If not you, someone else is going to get it. And if you are one of those type of people that are a giver and have a good heart, it's going to someone. Someone is being unfaithful and being evil. Now, check this out. This is the truth I want to share with you right now. It says in Psalms 37:21. I'm not here to preach to you, okay? But this is regardless of if you believe in God or you're religious, which I'm not religious. I just follow Jesus Christ and read the Bible. I need to read it more. Seriously, like I think, God, I'm going to go do it today. The wicked borrows and does not pay back. This is what God says, okay? The wicked borrows and does not pay back, but the righteous is gracious and gives. Now it says, a little commentary, this text is clear. It does not say that the person who borrows is wicked, because we are to borrow money to increase our wealth. And what that does, and we are to pay a fair price of interest, right? But we are also to pay it back. And that movement of money, God knows that volume of money moving in and out of the economy creates a good, strong economy. It's when everybody holds their money and hoards it, and the velocity of money comes to a screeching halt, that's when things get bad. All right. So you say here, so it says, The text is clear. It does not say the person who borrows is wicked, but rather the one who borrows and does not pay back. In other words, what is condemned is not the borrowing itself, but the failure to repay. Therefore, the believer should desire to maintain a testimony for Christ by borrowing wisely. That is, by being sure he has the means to repay his debts. He should pay careful attention to the ratio between his debt and his income and assets. Now, there's another verse, Romans 13:8 says, when commenting on that verse, another gentleman wrote, his name was James Montgomery Boyce, wrote, there is no sin in borrowing the money as long as you are able to pay the interest and premiums according to that schedule. And part of that is your taxes. As a matter of fact, the Bible is very clear on paying taxes. God says, pay to Caesar what is Caesar's, because God knows that. Now, think about this. When someone murders someone, a long time ago, they would do an eye for an eye. You're being sentenced to death. And you know what that actually did? It kept death rates down a lot because daddy spanked, right? They call it corporal punishment. And what you're seeing now is a lack thereof. It's getting looser and looser to the point now they're like, hey, our jails are so full of all the criminals because we don't spank enough. We're letting them out of the jails. This is bad. Society is turning down. Okay. So if for a second you think, hey, this isn't for me because I just can't make money off someone's misfortune. Well, first off, someone's going to. Secondly, most of those people got themselves into a debt they never should have because they were greedy and they wanted to appease other people. And then they decided not to pay, because every single person that I've seen that couldn't make their house payment had a nice car. And you know what? The one thing the Ninja never had? A nice car. But I'll tell you what, I had an F-350, a 2002 that I had bought in 2003 cash. I saved up, paid for it cash with my house flipping money. And that truck was the reason why I was able to buy it. I paid 25 grand for it because it was in a horrific accident, rebuilt, new frame rails, everything. It was crazy. And I got it for a good deal. It was a, when you can't get a clear title on it because it's damaged. And the paint started falling off of it over years. I ran it to the ground. I maintained it well, but like every day I would get in and thank God for it. I'm like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. And I would have guys around me mocking me, no joke, with like these fancy trucks, and not one of them owned their vehicle. You see, if you don't want to take advantage of this foreclosure craze, then go ahead, but just don't whine about the position you're in. Because there are spots where, like in this situation, where you could actually provide the money to someone that didn't pay their tax, and whether they're being honest and it was a hard time, or if it was malicious, that will prove itself in the period of 6 months to 2 years where the county says, hey, you got this much time to pay back that money plus interest, or you're going to lose your house. See, we need consequences in this world. The fact is, type 10 if you agree we need consequences in this world, because if we had them, we would have a much better run society, because people would know, oh, if I kill someone, I'm going to be killed. If I steal from someone, I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to have all my rights stripped away. Oh, yeah, I shouldn't be allowed to vote if I do heinous crimes. No, I shouldn't. Things like that. This is why our society is out of control. Now, if you want to be one of those lenders, and this is what God says in the Bible, if you want to he says he wants you to be lenders, not borrowers. He wants you to be wealthy to the point where like, I got so much money, I'm lending it out. And that's what me and my wife have started. And we're excited about that. We started a company all around lending. And this is the supply. But I'm going to tell you what, if somebody says, I'm not going to pay, but no worries, I'm a Christian. Okay, cool. Make sure you go to church and talk to the Lord about, ask him why you're poor, because you're going to lose your house or you're going to lose things. I don't know what to tell you. The Bible's very clear. So I did not mean for this to turn into a sermon, and it's not, because I'm not a pastor, but I do think people need to hear this. Now, if you want that course, it's down below. I am trying to crank out lessons. It's going to take me 2 or 3 months. So that's why I'm going to reward everyone that are in early. The price is like 93 or 94% off. That ends. I'm going to take a break. It might start up again after a while, but I'm going to take a break for a handful of weeks so we can get everybody in, and especially in those coaching calls for this month, so we can start getting people ready to bid on tax liens in December and January. Okay. but I want people to slowly take this information in, because what's coming this spring, and then for the handful of like 3 or 4 years after that, there are gonna be so many opportunities, it's insane. So if you want to sell on the sidelines, totally cool. Just don't whine. If you want to go and crush it and you're like, hey, I'm committed to this, well, then there you go. There's your step. And I'm going to provide the lowest price barrier of entry to this education than in the entire industry. If you start digging around and looking for courses on this, actually go do it. I please go look at how much courses for this cost. Your mouth will drop. And I know, because I bought them all, and I'm still looking for more, because I've been doing this. I've been studying this stuff for, well, 2 decades actually, reading about this specific type of real estate investing, and it's very convoluted. And the people that do it, boy, they charge you. I've even seen one at 50 grand. I refuse to pay 50 grand for a course to just say that I did, though. I'm going to give away that information a lot cheaper. That's just the truth. That's how I roll. I hope you have a good day. I hope this made sense to you. If it does, let me know if it made sense. Just say, hey, this made sense. If I'm speaking to one of you and maybe this changed the way you thought about, this is taking advantage of someone's downtime. Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of bad people out there that are robbing people and ripping people off through real estate. And a lot of them are losing properties right now, and they should. And they should go to the people that are good with properties and good with money. That's just how I see it. And I believe that a lot of us are going to absolutely crush it in the next 2 years. All right. With that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.